Welcome everyone. We are going to do another AmRRON build today. This time there won't be any of the fun, crazy, set up the Evolve wireless stuff with this because I'm actually doing this build on a 2010 MacBook Pro that I dug out of the recycling bin at work. So this machine was basically free. I put $14 into a 128 gigabyte SSD to pop in it and install Linux Mint. So for the folks out there looking for a cheap solution, a cheap way to get into digital modes and have a dedicated computer, you can find a system in the recycling bin somewhere to do this with. So no excuses. Get out there, find something, get on the air with it. So we're going to start here. This one's already got a fresh install of Mint 22.1. I've already downloaded the AmRRON scripts from the GitLab.com AmRRON Setup Scripts. And I'm going to show this here on the terminal, even though it's already downloaded, so you guys will just kind of get to see it on the screen. And then we'll start the script installation. So now we're going to change directories from a root directory and go into the setup scripts and run ls so we can see what's in there. So we'll use the // to issue the command to tell it to run the file as a program. So // AmRRON Setup Scripts. And again, we can use the tab key to complete it as we type, so we don't have to worry about typing it exactly correctly. And the script's going to run here, going to check some update stuff, see what's already installed on the computer if you're running this a second time to upgrade existing programs. And it's going to pop up and say, okay, here we go. Going to go ahead and click OK to get started. I'm going to skip the update because I just did a fresh install and ran updates before this. So you can hit the easy button here and just roll with it. I'm going to show you guys some options. So we're going to select everything and hit install. Use the default installation locations. And then we're going to start the installation. And we've got some options. So there's currently an issue with hamlib compiling JS8 call, so hamlib 4.55 works. The other one may or may not. We also have two versions of ARDOP here. ARDOP CF is a current fork that's a little different than the other one that's had some further development done on it. So I'm using that version of ARDOP as it works just a little bit better. Still has a few bugs, but it does work. And there's a stable version of WSJTX that you can pick from rather than the up-to-the-minute most current version. That's more of a long-term service version. So we're going to check everything, including Pipewire audio button there is very important because it's going to uninstall Pipewire and let us install Pulse. And installing Pulse allows us to continue to run try mode and do a lot of the things that we have traditionally done with multiple applications running and that kind of thing. Some of the issues early on were with Pipewire and some of the problems with Pipewire that we haven't worked around yet. So if you fail to do that, you try to run multiple things, particularly ARDOP, it's not going to work till you go and uninstall Pipewire and install Pulse in its place. So next we're going to move on to packet programs. We're going to let it install packet programs, and we're just going to hit install all and go ahead and do all of that. Security programs, we're going to do the same thing, the directory it suggests, and then install all. And last, all of the other accessories there. So we're going to do all that and click begin. Then through the magic of editing here, about 2 hours later, we're going to be back to join you guys, and I'm going to go and get a sandwich. And we're back here with things finishing up so that we can move on to the next part of our install here in just a second. That was the quickest 2 hours of your life. And it's going to tell us a little bit about the two different ARDOP versions here. And kind of just a little information about that. And in order for that to work, we have to do some ARDOP configuration, and it's going to do this for us. And then if we want to automatically download a station list for WinLink, If you use PAT and you use WinLink on your computer, this is the instructions on how to have it automatically download and keep up to date with the current list of stations that are on the air for use with WinLink that are using ARDOP and VARA. So we're going to go ahead and open up cron tab, which is the Linux scheduler application. So we'll run cron tab space -E in order to open that up, and I will select Nano. You have to pick your editor. I prefer Nano, so we'll hit 1 and do Nano. We're going to go to the bottom, and we're going to copy and paste the commands that are in this window to the bottom of our cron tab configuration file, and then we'll just use the instructions on the bottom to save by hitting or Control X and then hitting save there. And that will update it every night at 11:30 p.m. You can change those times. So Commstat has also been installed. It requires a manual installation on the older one, but on 22 it works. So you don't have to do anything else. It should just completely install and work. We're going to go ahead and tell it to start Conky, which is our heads-up display that we kind of have on the right side of our screen at boot. And now it's going to finish up the scripts and tell us that we need to do a restart. So we're going to go ahead and do a restart. When we come back from our restart, we're going to run the tri-mode configuration script and the VARA installation scripts. And I'm not going to go through instructions on configuring all the software. You can see my other video for that. It works the same way as it did then. The configuration here, I just wanted you guys to see a smooth, easy installation. So we're going to run CD setup again to get into, or setup scripts, sorry, to get into our setup scripts directory. And then we're going to run /AmRRON tri-mode setup scripts. Again, remember you can use tab in order to auto-complete that. And our tri-mode script is going to open. We're going to set it up to operate with cat control as usual. Most of us are running modern radios that allow full cat. So we will click the yes button for FLRig because none of us want to deal with trying to make this work in a custom setup. It's pretty complex, and FLRig just makes everything easy directing the traffic to control the radio. It's going to ask us for our password. We'll punch in our administrative password. And wait on it to run a little bit here, and now we have to tell it where our RDOP file is. So we're going to go up here and click on the little folder, and then we're going to select ARDOP PC and hit OK, and now it knows where RDOP is and knows how to start it. Click OK. It's going to tell us that it has created an audio file with those configurations. All this mess to start RDOP. Aren't you glad you didn't have to figure out how to come up with that startup combination? The script does that for us, thank heavens. And then we'll hit OK to move on to the next part of our installation here. And it tells us that it has been finished. And it gives us the procedure for starting up our system so that all this stuff works. And if you're new to this, you might want to copy all that and paste it into a text file so you have it handy and can reference that in the future when you're starting your system up. And now we're going to go ahead and do our VARA install. So we'll again go back to our terminal window in the setup scripts and do /AmRRON VARA setup. Let that run, and it's going to come up and say, welcome to the installer. You can read all of this stuff if you want to. There's some details about getting RMS Express working, which can be a little bit of a pain and will require some troubleshooting and some fiddling on your end, but it kind of walks you through what to do here. And it might not hurt to, again, go ahead, grab this, copy and paste it into a notepad or a text document for future reference after we kind of move on. And that's what I'm going to do because I am still not really good at setting up RMS Express in Wine. So it's kind of new to me. I'm just going to create an empty document here, and we're going to find it here on the desktop and paste those instructions into it. So later, when I try to figure out how to set this thing up, I'll be able to set it up. And of course, I got to type in the right spot here. Get selected here so I can name this empty file something. I'll know what it is. So we'll do RMS Express COM port instructions or something like that. All right, so name that, open it up, paste our instructions into it, hit save, and once we hit save, where's the save button here? We'll just do it that way. We'll go and close that and move on. And our first installation thing here should be VARA. Well, actually, it will be Wine. It will install Wine first, and then VARA. So we're going to tell it to install everything. So you can pick and choose if you don't want to install everything, but I'm just going to check everything. You could also just hit the Install All button there. We're going to install Wine, VARA HF, VARA FM, VARA AC, and RMS Express. Even though some folks may not use all of these or most of these, we'll just go ahead and let it install it in case you want to use it at some point. So don't accidentally hit the quit button, but hit begin. And it's going to sit here and it's going to run through the installation. And again, we're going to use a little magic to speed things up. And we'll do our Wine config here. This is where we select our sound cards. So it's important we go to audio when the Wine config pops up. And we select pulse audio for our input and output devices. That way Wine works with the pulse audio system we're using. And again, we're going to speed some things up here so that we can get moving on a little quicker with our video and you guys don't have to sit here for a long time. We're installing VARA, and it's going to pop up and ask us to do the VARA install. Looks just like the Windows install. We hit accept, next, and just keep clicking through. I like a desktop icon for VARA HF because I use it a lot, so we'll tell it to install one of those. And the installation is very snappy. It's done very quick. And then it's going to tell you it's installed and ask if you want to launch the program, which you can go ahead and launch the program, go to your settings, and it's going to pop up there to try to start the VARA, but go ahead and go to setup. Make sure everything's right, accept 500 hertz connections for your VARA or VARM, and then get your call sign and your registration key put in there so you can use full speed. And then we'll check our sound card, make sure it shows pulse audio, which it should. And then last, I'm going to go ahead and turn the waterfall off because it can be a little bit of a CPU hog. And depending on which what kind of hardware you're using, the waterfall can cause some issues. So let's go ahead and run the FM install. And I'm not going to create an icon for this one because I don't really ever use it with most of my stuff. It's there just in case. And we'll do kind of the same thing here where we'll let it go ahead and launch. You can go ahead and put your license and key in. This one looks a little different. You just put your call sign and registration key in there and set your FM system to wide or narrow as is applicable for if you were using it on VHF or UHF. So, sound card, again, pulse audio, make sure it's populated there. It should, but I just like to do that. And then under push to talk here, if you were setting this up with a 2-meter radio, most 2-meter radios don't have CAT control. So you have the options of using a COM port or a RA board, which is very similar to the C-Media sound cards that have a GPIO in them, kind of like the DigiRig. I think you might be able to use the RA board selection with a DigiRig. I haven't tried that yet, but it's kind of on the list of things to try. So you can control push-to-talk on your 2-meter radio with VARA FM. Next, it's going to go ahead and install VARA AC. We'll just kind of click through here, install VARA AC, and I'm not going to configure it. That's a whole nother thing for the configuration, but we're just going to go ahead and install it. and have it ready. If you already know how to use VARA AC, awesome. If not, I know AmRRON is working on maybe a bit of use case for how that they will use it, but other groups and other folks seem to like VARA AC, largely because I think it runs on Windows. But for those of us who want to use Linux, we can use it with Wine now. And it pops up this really annoying window where it tries to go to the writer's website, the author's website. So we'll just go ahead and tell it not to run VARA AC and hit finish. So we can kind of move on. And now it's going to install WinLink Express, which is another, just click next and kind of next your way through this. And then once it's finished, it's going to pop up and want you to configure WinLink Express. I'm actually not going to configure WinLink Express here, just because it's a pain and you got to put in your call sign and your password and all kinds of other information into it in order to make it happy. And I'm not going to do that right now on video. So we're just going to go ahead and close out WinLink Express here, but it does run. You can see it pops open and it works there. So you just have to figure out, using the instructions that were given earlier, how to configure the COM port, because you won't be able to use RMS Express while you're running other applications, try mode, a single application, whatever. You've got to only run RMS Express or it's just not going to be happy. So that kind of covers the installation. This thing's going to kind of finish up here, and we'll go ahead and close that window out, and it says it's ready to go. So it says we will need to set our sound card usage for VARA AC, and to make sure to check the Linux box in VARA AC. So do those when you configure your VARA AC, and we're done. It took me I didn't work on it the whole time, but it took a couple of hours for it to download, install, compile, FLDigi, and all of that stuff. But I did that, and that was all on a 10-year-old MacBook, well, 15-year-old at this point, MacBook Pro, that I had no money in. So I encourage you guys to grab an old computer, try doing an AmRRON build for your digital radio needs, and just set a dedicated rig up and let it monitor all the time. Mint 22.1 makes it pretty straightforward. And if any of you guys are wondering, I'll just throw a little tease out here. I'm not sure exactly where you're going to see this MacBook Pro again, but I think this MacBook Pro is going to show up again at some point in some PrepperNet related thing, either at Bug Out Camp or at some exercise or something as a giveaway. I don't need another one. I've already got one. So I'm going to set this one up, get everything working on it in quad mode, and then I'm probably just going to pass it on to somebody else that needs it. So anyway, hope this helped you guys out. 7-3, and hope to see you all on the air.